All right, guys, we finally found our drilled slotted rotors for the rear. I found them on a different website. I could not find them when I did the upgrade on the front, so it works out well because it should be two separate videos anyway. But I finally got the ones for the rear. Make sure you pay attention to the label. This is for driver's side, and that is the reason for that is because the grooves need to point towards the front to pull air in to cool the rotors. And we've got some ceramic pads, and then it came with all the hardware as well. I had to buy these from two separate places, so you'll see two links down below. I'm pretty sure I got that one on Amazon, and that one's from AmericanTrucks.com. But I'll send you the links or post them below. So first thing we're going to do, we already removed the tire and the spacer. So we've got to loosen our caliper bolts. One is right here, one is right here. And then this assembly will come off, and we can change our pads out, and at the same time we'll be able to change our rotor out. All right, when you get to loosen these caliper bolts, this square washer right here might spin, as you can see. See, it's just spinning. So you're gonna have to hold that steady with a crescent wrench or a regular wrench if you can find one that fits. But hold that, and then the bolt will come right out. All right, we've got those two bolts out. I've just got the caliper propped up in there, so it's not gonna get hurt by dangling or anything. Never let them just hang by the hydraulic lines, because if you break one of those, you're gonna be in big trouble. But now I know why this kit is different than the one for the front, because this has a single caliper, a single piston caliper, whereas the front one had a double. And I believe quote me if I'm wrong, but or correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the front brakes get about 70% of the braking power, so it makes sense to have lighter duty brakes in the back. But we're gonna get them fixed up so they match up anyway. All right, so now we have to remove these two bolts. There's one in the back right here and one in the back right there, both 18 millimeter. These top ones were 13 millimeter, by the way, if you were wondering. But if you can't give enough leverage with your regular socket, which I can't, to break these loose, you got two options. You can get a breaker bar. This one I believe is 18-inch, or you can do the old trick where you put the box end wrench on the end of your socket for extra leverage. But I'm gonna use the breaker bar in this case. All right, so we've got this assembly out. Of course, just those two 18 millimeter bolts, and it slides right off. See, it just slides right off here. You can leave the pads in there till you get it down on the ground, and do yourself a favor, lay out your pads before you remove the old ones from this bracket, because they are different. In this case, the front one, or the outer one, has one of those little tattlers on it that's supposed to make that squeaking noise when you get low on pad. So it has that there. Oh, I'm sorry. I was pointing to the wrong thing. That's a clip to maintain it. This is what I was talking about, this telltale guy here. So make sure you put it on the correct side when you put these pads back in. But I'm just going to slide these out. I'm going to change the clips over and slide them back in, and we'll get it right back on. All right, this is kind of a game changer, because I just realized that these pads are not the correct size for the rear. You can see them side by side there. So it looks like we're not going to be doing pads today. Good thing is, these only have like 18,000 miles on them, and they're still in pretty good shape. So I'll just change those out at another time. But we can go ahead and replace the rotors still. And at least it'll look the same, even though we won't have ceramics on the back. But that'll come later. So I guess this needed a little bit of persuasion. There's no extra hardware to remove. It was just rusted onto that center hub. So I had to persuade it a little bit with my 4-pound sledge. Tried a little tiny ball peen hammer, and that didn't do anything. So you're going to need a pretty hefty sledge to knock that off of there. But we can remove that and put the new one on. All right, the new drilled slotted rotors are on there. Rotors. And I like how they look, because I don't know if you saw the video where I did the front, but with these rims on this truck, you can see through and see those. They've got performance brakes on it, so that's cool. And now all four wheels will match, which is even better. So now I've got to put the pad assembly on there and the brake caliper. What I did was I installed the wheel spacer here just to hold this in place while I bolt everything on, because it doesn't, once you put, of course the old one comes off really hard, but the new one is easy. So it kind of sags off a little bit, and you don't want it, or else you're gonna fight putting that back in. Ordinarily, you would have to recess this piston since you put new thicker pads on, but I don't think you have to in this case, because I'm putting it right back together. I may have to squeeze it a little bit, and if I do, I'll show you a specialty tool that I got for that. Some people just use a C-clamp and squeeze like this. You got to make sure you're centered so you're not pushing one side down further than the other. But there is a special tool that I have that will do that too. All right, we've got the brake pad assembly back on, and it's bolted in. I went ahead and put it on with a ratchet and then tightened it down with my breaker bar just to make sure it's really torqued. Please don't ask me about torque specs because I never follow those. That might be my fault, but I've never had an issue with any of my bolts coming out or snapping or anything. I just kind of do it by feel, but don't be like me. Look up the proper specs, use a torque wrench if you want to be really, really safe. But yeah, it's just what I do. I'll go ahead and show you this tool real quick. This is what it is to compress that caliper piston. And it just has this black guard right here that slides over it, and then it spreads it apart. Basically, when you put it right in there, it'll just go like that. I don't think I'm gonna have to here, but I wanted to show you just in case you guys are doing pads too. Okay, I did have to compress that cylinder a little bit. It was just a little bit too tight to slide back on. So I got the chance to try out this new tool. This is like 10 or 11 bucks. I'll put a link to it. I'm pretty sure I got it on Amazon. What I like about it is it's got this interchangeable thing that pops off just like a socket. And it's got those little feet there that actually connect into there. So into the little grooves in the piston. So that's cool. It's got two different sizes. You can flip this around. And then this little black piece just slides into this groove and holds against this back plate right here so you can compress. So pretty neat. Pick one up if you want to make your job a lot easier. All right, yeah, I did have to put it into brake maintenance mode. You can see that there. In order to do that, what you're going to do is you're going to turn your ignition on. You're going to press your accelerator pedal all the way down. So ignition on, but not started. Accelerator pedal all the way to the floor. At the same time, pull this release here for your emergency brakes. And then with your other hand, you're going to have to turn the key off and then back to the on position again. And then you'll see a couple errors come up like service, advanced track, but check brake system, yeah, of course. And then you'll see brake maintenance mode. That's what you want to see before you go ahead and compress that piston. All right, we've got the piston compressed enough to put it back over the top of our pads and bolt it in. This is part of your electronic braking system here. I'm not sure exactly what this is. I believe it's a small motor so that it can apply them without using the hydraulics, which in case they fail is electronic. So that's cool. But again, make sure you put it in maintenance mode before you try to compress that, or you're not going to be able to, and you may even damage this here, which you don't want to do. So let's put this bad boy back together. All right, it's all back together now. We've got these two 13mm bolts in and torqued. So they're good to go. And we just got to put the tire back on and go to the other side and do the exact same thing. All right, she's back together again, and it looks really good. I'm really glad now that the back matches the front, because the front's looking pretty nice. All right, just learned something new. So in order to deactivate your maintenance mode, it's a little bit different. Don't worry if you can't remember these instructions. I'm going to link them down below. I'll put a link to the instructions rather. But what you got to do is you got to turn the ignition on like before without starting it. You're going to press and hold the accelerator, and this time you're going to pull up on the emergency brake activation switch. Hold both of those, and then press the brake pedal down aggressively with your other foot. Hopefully you have 2 feet because you're going to need them. Press that and hold it for at least 1 second, then release. And then while you're still holding the accelerator and the emergency brake switch, turn the key off, then back on again. And you should hear a little bit of a noise in the back. It sounds like the motors are turning on that EBS, electronic brake system. You'll hear like a little whirring noise, and then the maintenance mode should come out. Now, I followed that exact procedure, and I still had a few ABS system faults after I came out of maintenance mode, and I was worried that I hurt something or whatever, like what did I do? But fortunately, I just unplugged the battery, so I just popped the positive terminal off for about 5 minutes, popped it back on, fired it up, no errors whatsoever. Brakes work beautifully. Very happy with the new brakes. So hopefully this helps you guys, and we'll see you guys on the next one.